After spending a year working an exhausting job with long hours back home in the US, it was vitally important that the beginning of my current travels was spent totally off grid with the attempt to reconnect with myself. I'm going to tell you about this magical place we stumbled upon in the mountains of Indonesia, but first I need to catch you up on this past year of my life. It honestly was one of the most difficult years mentally. Throughout my past travels and life experiences teaching yoga in Asia, living at ashrams, and doing a lot of inner work, I slowly developed a strong awareness of the things in this life I'm passionate about and what I want to focus my energy on. I find peace in living more sustainably with this earth, living in a peaceful setting surrounded by nature, connecting with myself through yoga and meditation, but also putting a lot of energy toward meaningful relationships with those around me. City life just isn't exactly conducive to this sort of living. It's filled with overconsumption, waste, big businesses, crazy traffic, and a lot of stress. Don't get me wrong, there's some great things about cities, but they're just really not for me. I find myself constantly anxious, stressed out, and just longing for nature. About 8 months ago, I returned back to Western city life after working and teaching yoga throughout Asia for a year. Upon returning to the States, I was left with no money, friends, housing, and direction in life. All I really wanted to do was live freely and do yoga. I had a much needed reality check though, because I realized I can't just do this for the rest of my life. I started to feel like I was living this dream life and totally wasting time. I mean, most people my age were graduating college and getting 9-to-5 jobs. I wasn't feeling very confident in myself, so I made a decision that was probably the only thing I could have done at that point. I decided to dedicate the next year to working and saving as much money as I could. And then once I felt more stable, I could decide what to do with my life. I got a pretty good job working in the city, and luckily I was able to live at home to save even more money. I totally understand, though, that this is something that not everyone can do. I was putting in as many hours I could, and it was very exhausting. I was also aiming to spend about $3 a day on other living necessities. It wasn't necessarily the job that was making me suffer, but the fact I was not living in a way that I believed in. I was completely disconnected to my yoga practice, to myself, and to my inner truth. I had absolutely no energy to do the things I was passionate about. I ended up spending the days I wasn't working, hiding away in the corner of a room wrapped in a blanket. There was just zero inspiration inside me for life. But honestly, being this depressed made me work even harder to escape this life. The seductive idea of escaping was driving me forward. Fast forward 8 months and I'm on a plane to Asia. I realized the only way for me to move forward in life was to follow the path that felt right inside me. If we follow this voice, it will lead us exactly where we need to be in order to fulfill our true life path. For now, I'm focusing on healing and yoga, but after this first month, I will take some teaching jobs and try to build my business a little more. I'm confident that somehow life will lead me to where I need to be, but only if I truly listen. We flew into Denpasar a couple nights ago and immediately took a car up into the mountains to an eco-community and farm stay. All I hear at night is the peaceful sounds of crickets and the far-off noise of a rushing river. I'm filled with immense amount of gratitude towards being able to go off the grid and reconnect with myself. We've been spending these days so far doing yoga, walking through the jungle, and eating delicious ripe fruit. I feel at home and connected to my body, a feeling that I remember so well, but haven't felt in months. So, I'll end this with asking you, what are some things in your life that make you feel connected?